I would like to give you a little bit of a background with the policy context with the European Green Deal, and then my colleague Edyta will also go into a little bit more details on the Energy Efficiency Directive and also specifically for the energy audits to link it really to the topic of today's meeting. So, as you know, the target for the European Union is to be climate neutral in 2050. And this means reducing greenhouse gases with 55% in 2030. So with the climate target plan underpinning the European Green Deal, in July this year, the Commission adopted 12 legislative proposals that will contribute to delivering the Green Deal. And this was a first part of the package, and more proposals will also come later in the year. So this comprehensive package really aims at a transformation which is both fair, cost efficient, and made in a competitive way. And of course, buildings are really high on the political agenda. They represent 40% of the energy consumption in the EU and also 36% of greenhouse gas emissions. And as you are well aware, the majority of the buildings that we will have in 2030 and in 2050, they have already been built. Many of them are poorly energy efficient, and they also rely on fossil fuels to a very large degree for heating. So the existing buildings is really a challenge, because also with the climate target plan, it has been estimated that the emissions from the building sector will have to be reduced with 60% to 2030. So this is why the Commission 1 year ago launched the Renovation Wave strategy. And the aim of this strategy is to at least double the current renovation rate. Current renovation rates are around 1%, and only 0.2% of renovations are deep energy efficiency renovations, achieving at least 60% savings. So the rate of renovations really have to be stepped up. But it's not only to make the buildings more energy efficient, it's also to make them healthier, more affordable, more digitally interconnected, and also more integrated into the energy system. So the main aspects of the Renovation Wave strategy is the decarbonization of heating and cooling, and also applying the energy efficiency first principle. Also to tackle energy poverty and the worst performing buildings. To renovate public buildings and social infrastructure, such as schools, hospitals, and administrative buildings. And linked to the Renovation Wave strategy, there's also a communication specifically on financing, and also a recommendation on energy poverty. And with the Renovation Wave strategy, there's an action plan with 23 actions, and they are spread all across the Commission, and they include everything from financing to the European Bauhaus, Circular Economy Action Plan, and affordable housing initiative. But there are also some specific measures which are linked to legislation. And I would just like to give you a snapshot of the sort of legislative proposals that have been presented or are going to be presented, and which contribute to the implementation of the Renovation Wave strategy. So of course, there's the Energy Efficiency Directive with the Energy Efficiency First principle and the requirement to renovate public buildings. That's the Renewable Energy Directive with the goal for heating and cooling in buildings. And these were proposed in July. And then later this year, there will be a proposal for the revised Energy Performance of Buildings Directive. And without going into all of the details, because the proposal is currently being developed, I can just highlight a few areas which are sort of at the core of the revision. And today, there is no measure in the EPBD which can actually trigger renovations. There are measures to say how energy performant a building have to be when it's being renovated, but there's nothing to really say that a renovation would have to take place. So this is something that is planned to be introduced in the form of minimum energy performance standards for existing buildings. Information is really important for consumers, for investors, and for others. And the provisions in the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive on the energy performance certificates, which provide information to consumers, will be revised to make sure that the quality is increased, and also the information contained in them. And they will also be linked to building renovation passports, because of course the aim is to have a deep renovation with large energy savings, but it cannot always be done in one step. Sometimes you need to do it stage by stage, and the building renovation passport is something that will help the homeowner to plan this renovation across several steps to reach the final end goal. So these are considerations, and there are also considerations related to better integration of buildings into the energy system, such as e-mobility provisions that can help with the integration of renewable energy. And all in all, this ambition is that it, taken all together with all the actions in the renovation wave strategy, that it should lead to renovation of 35 million building units by 2030. And this was all from my side. So Edyta, over to you.
Thank you, Anne. Yes, thank you for this. Anne has already spoken about the principles of the European Green Deal, and also about Fit for 55 energy package. I will just say a few words about the Energy Efficiency Directive in general, because it's a key element of the Fit for 55 package, and of course the key element of delivering the European Green Deal, and notably the ambitious climate objectives. So energy efficiency directive, the new proposal, the revised version, was published along with other legislative proposals in July 2021, and it constitutes an integral part of our decarbonization scenario of the climate target plan. And to achieve these objectives, of course, it promotes even more ambitious targets, measures, and efforts in order to achieve our climate target plan objectives. So the level of ambition has significantly risen, because the impact assessment of the climate target plan assessed that achieving the greenhouse gas emissions reduction in a cost-optimal way meant that energy efficiency target needs to be increased to 36, 37 for final, and 39, 41% for primary energy consumption. Apart, of course, from the increased and higher targets, another element I would like just to tackle upon is energy efficiency first principle that has been written into the Energy Efficiency Directive, but previously it's already been written into EU law with governance regulation of 2019. Now in Energy Efficiency Directive, and also in September, the Commission has published recommendations and guidelines on practical application of energy efficiency first principle in putting it from the principle into the practice. So basically, these are the two main elements of Energy Efficiency Directive proposal I wanted to tackle upon before going into more details. And notably, I would like to speak about the new proposals for new Article 11, energy management systems and energy audits. Thank you for changing the slide. So, before Energy Efficiency Directive has been key to promoting the use of energy audits across the EU under the existing Article 8, and this was done notably through the obligation for non-small and medium enterprises to carry out an energy audit at least every 4 years. However, the evaluations that the European Commission has done, these evaluations identified some important limitations to such approach. And basically, it was the lack of monitoring requirements for energy audits, the absence of the obligation to actually implement energy audits recommendations, difficulties to application of the small and medium enterprises definition per se, and also missing incentives for implementing energy management systems. So in order to address these limitations and notably to tackle the challenges related to the application of the small and medium enterprises definition across member states, and the proposed Article 11 shifts the criterion for energy audits and energy management systems from the size of an enterprise to the level of energy consumption. And this energy use-based option appears to have considerable benefits, since it requires fewer companies to be subject to mandatory audits, whereas the estimated energy savings are expected to be of the similar magnitude. So the new Article 11 sets some thresholds. So the annual average energy consumption threshold of more than 100 terajoule for the obligation to implement an energy management system, and the threshold of more than 10 terajoule for the energy audits or an energy management system. Maybe we can move to another slide with the thresholds. Yes, thank you. So our supporting study estimates that currently around 755,000 enterprises are subject to the obligation to have an energy audit every 4 years. It is estimated that changing the criterion and basing the audit requirement on energy threshold of 10 terajoule per year will reduce this figure to 174,000 enterprises. And of those 174,000 enterprises, it is estimated that around 20,000 will have an energy consumption over 100 terajoule, and therefore they will be subject to the obligation of the energy management system implementation. Concerning these large energy consumers, so those enterprises that fall above 100 terajoule threshold, actually these large enterprises should already have energy management systems in place, and in case they have not, of course, it makes sense to replace the previous audit obligation for these businesses with one to have such a energy management system that, and this solution is likely to be more effective at ensuring that more cost-saving energy investments are made, and they will have a lower overall cost burden on the company. Another issue that is addressed by the revised new Article 11 is a low implementation of audit recommendations. There might be multiple reasons for this. One could be that the person responsible for the audit may not have any budget or power to have the findings implemented. Another is that the managers of the businesses may not be aware of the economic potential offered by energy savings in their businesses. And third, they do not take properly audit recommendations into account in their planning, into their budgetary decisions. Therefore, Article 11 requires the audit recommendations to be communicated to the management of the company. And this obligation for the results of the audit to be seen by the management of the businesses is meant to ensure that the companies and the management fully understand and can benefit from the recommendations and findings of the audits that have been already carried out. Additionally, for the companies that are not small and medium enterprises and that do not fall under the provisions of Article 11, member states will have to develop programs that will encourage those enterprises also to undergo the energy audits. Some changes were also proposed in relation to Annex 6 with minimum criteria for energy audits. The Commission wanted to strengthen a little bit the wording in Annex 1, and therefore there are no longer like guidelines, but they are criteria. And also 2 additional criteria were included, mainly identification of the renewable energy potential and resource efficiency. This was done mainly following our stakeholders consultations and public consultations, where there was a call on, especially on including this renewable energy potential in the minimum criteria for energy audits. For energy audits and the proposed Article 11, this is it for the moment on my side.